When the month of December comes around, the first thing that people usually think of is the festivities surrounding the holidays. But there's more to think about. December is observed as AIDS Awareness Month. It's important that we offer support and treat each other kindly, not discriminating and attaching stigma to those living with HIV and AIDS or any other ailment. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. There's more coming up. Stay with us.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, December 5, 2023. Companies and data controllers are being given an additional 6 months to comply with the full requirements of the Data Protection Act 2020. With the Act now in effect as of December 1, entities, particularly those that process personal information on a daily basis, are required to be registered with the Office of the Information Commissioner, OIC. They are also obligated to appoint a responsible individual, such as a Data Protection Officer, DPO, to oversee the controller's compliance with the Act. Persons or organizations that process personal data without registering with the OIC could face sanctions. The legislation, which was passed in 2020, is poised to transform the way organizations manage personal data, including the collection, storage, utilization, disclosure, and disposal. Minister with responsibility for skills and digital transformation, Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, says the extra time for compliance is in recognition of the struggle being faced by some entities.
We have had consultations with the private sector, and I thank the private sector for their openness and their open dialogue on where the challenges are. And they've indicated that some of their members and some of our private sector leaders are not ready as yet for the full implementation.
Minister Morris-Dixon was speaking recently at a post-cabinet press briefing. She said registration with the Office of the Information Commissioner would be one of the top priorities in the transitioning phase. Meanwhile, Information Commissioner Celia Barclay says her office will be engaging in constructive collaboration with a view to building confidence.
We have taken the approach of, as a first step, being able to identify controllers, being able to identify their data processing activities, and using that information as a foundation based on which we're able to monitor and investigate issues concerning data protection. And so that is an approach that will give us an advantage in terms of implementing the legislation.
The OIC is encouraging persons who have been implementing the necessary compliance measures of the Data Protection Act and are ready to register to begin the process on its official website, oic.gov.jm. Meanwhile, more than 100 data protection officers have received training under the National Data Protection Training Program for schools. The educators received their certification on Friday at an awards ceremony held at the University of Technology, UTech, Jamaica. The curriculum was designed and implemented by UTech's Faculty of Engineering and Computing and facilitated by eLearning Jamaica. The training, which took place over 3 weeks, is in partnership with the Education Ministry. Emphasizing that the education system is one of the largest collectors of personal information, Portfolio Minister Favour Williams says data protection in the sector is critical.
Think about your schools. You collect information on all the children that are there, their name, their address, their parents' name, their age, their immunization record, their grades, all kinds of personal data, right? And it's just stored in a paper file and anybody can access it and so on. We need for it to be protected and for people, for our citizens in Jamaica to begin to think of the valuableness of their personal data.
Representatives of both UTech and eLearning Jamaica say the collaboration shows a clear commitment by all stakeholders to not only infuse education in schools, but also to build technical capacity.
Collaborations such as this training program between academia and industry continues to be a win-win model for Jamaica's development.
Data protection is not merely a legal obligation, it's a moral imperative. to safeguard the sensitive data that's entrusted to us within our educational institutions. The responsibility rests with us to ensure that this data is handled with utmost care, respecting the privacy and confidentiality of every individual associated with our schools.
The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development will be spending $375 million between now and March next year to provide more indigent housing solutions across the country. Portfolio Minister Desmond McKenzie made the announcement at the handover ceremony for 2 indigent housing solutions in Manchester recently. They include a studio apartment in Coley Mountain and a 2-bedroom unit in Kendall.
While we are not going to be able to respond to the needs of everybody at the same time, what we have started in 2016 is a far better approach that has reaped success than what previously established before.
Mr. McKenzie says the aim of the program is to give the indigent homeowner an environment that was never had before. He's urging the recipients to ensure that the necessary amenities used, such as electricity, are not attained by illegal means.
We would encourage persons not to thief light, because once we find anybody who occupies any of these units stealing electricity, then we're going to part company. Because if we give you the house at least, you must can make the effort to pay for the light.
Budding entrepreneurs now have access to a wider range of business development services through the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC's renovated and expanded agro-processing incubator. The upgraded facility, which opened recently, aims to boost production and export among micro and small agro-processors. This expansion increases the working space to 1,000 square feet and provides access to critical equipment for filling, packaging, and production of a variety of products. These include beverages, sauces, condiments, dry mixes, purees, and pastries. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Auburn Hill, says the facility will allow users to develop products and increase their production in an efficient manner.
The initiative is a vital step in our journey at the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, aligning perfectly with our strategic goal to develop and strengthen industry value chains for export.
The incubator is staffed with an agro-industry process supervisor, food technologist, food development specialist, and incubator assistant. The project was funded by the European Union, managed by the Caribbean Development Bank, and implemented by the JBDC. And finally, Jamaica will serve a second term at the International Maritime Organization, IMO Council, from 2024 to 2025 after successfully securing a Category C seat. The elections were held at the 33rd Assembly of the IMO Council in London on December 1. Category C in the Council represents 20 states that have special interest in maritime transport or navigation. Their election to the Council ensures representation from all major geographic regions of the world. Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Darrell Vaz, who led the delegation to the IMO Assembly, has welcomed the re-election as a significant achievement for Jamaica's maritime development. He says Jamaica is grateful for the trust from its international partners. He assures that the country will honor its commitment to addressing the challenges in the maritime space and contribute to the sustainable development of the global space. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Making moral judgments about someone's health should never be accepted. Being stigmatized and/or discriminated leads to persons feeling marginalized at a time when they most need support. As we observe AIDS Awareness Month this December, Let us be the change we want to see and end discrimination against those living with HIV and AIDS.
Fact: HIV is no longer a death sentence.
With a treatment regime inclusive of antiretroviral drugs, an HIV-infected person can live a long, healthy, productive life.
With proper medical care, HIV viral loads can become undetectable and therefore untransmissible.
Fact: controlled HIV cannot be passed on from one person to the next.
Despite this information, fears about contracting HIV from social contact remain. And HIV-positive persons continue to face stigma and discrimination.
What we have found is that while we have treatment that is free, while we have health facilities across the country that allows services to be available and accessible, we also have our own NGO, the Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, that also provides services for people living with HIV. We still find that persons are still afraid to access the services. And this issue is related to what they think or what they perceive or what they think is real when it comes to being discriminated against. So discrimination is persons are being treated in a disrespectful way. They are being asked questions that are not necessarily relevant for the reason why they're in the space that they're in and when they're asking for services. And these are concerns that we have had over the years.
Government, through the National Family Planning Board, NFPB, intends to end this practice with the launch of its Champions for Change campaign. A constant partner is NGO, the Jamaica Network of Seropositives.
Now, as a person living with HIV for over 23 years, it wasn't easy, it's a bit challenging, but I first learned to think about me. What other persons think or perceive me to be, it really doesn't matter. Because in life, you still have challenge. You will always have challenges. You will always have persons liking you or not liking you. But at the end of the day, you still have to live. You still have to go on with life. And I try to tell persons, do not let HIV stop you from living. It's about looking at yourself and said, okay, yes, I've contracted the virus, but guess what? I am going to live no matter what. You know, do not let HIV stop you from doing nothing. You want to be a hairdresser, a teacher, a doctor, you can still be what you want to be in life. It doesn't stop you from accomplishing anything you want to accomplish. But what stops you is the fear of what others think. What I want people to understand is that persons living with HIV, it's your brother, your sister, your neighbor, your friends. And HIV is not something for us to just look down on an individual and say, listen, because you're HIV positive, I don't want anything to do with you.
A 2019 Stigma Index survey among 509 HIV-positive persons documents that the most common forms of stigma and discrimination experienced is gossip, unfair remarks, and verbal harassment.
So sometimes when you go into your office space and you hear persons speaking, they might just talking to your friends and everything, stop them. You don't know who is in your office. You don't know who is in the household. Be careful as to what you say and how you say it, because sometimes we're just very unkind and we say it for joke, but it's not a joke. We are hurting persons. Persons are being hurt. Persons are afraid. The sad part about it is that when it really gets to you, it becomes self-stigmatizing. And when you have someone getting up every morning and when they look in the mirror, they're not happy with who they see, that's a lot of self-stigma happening. and they are unable to function effectively.
And a lot of persons who are positive figure more or less that they can't have kids, but they can still have a family. They can get married, they can have children.
HIV status is not a big deal. Persons can manage it. When we came up with Champions for Change, we believe that truly it's time that we have full support. And what better way to get full support than to have persons championing the cause of other persons? It's your brother keeper concept. It's where you can stand up and say, listen, enough is enough. I see you bullying someone. No, stop. Stop bullying this person. It's not fair. It's unreasonable. They have not done anything wrong. Especially when it comes to your HIV status, especially when it comes to your health status.
So when a person come in, you embrace them, you show them that regardless of the fact that they may be sick, you still love them. And that is the key medicine, you know, that you don't laugh at me and behind my back you talk me. That's not love.
It's important that I am a voice of compassion, I'm a voice of love as a medical doctor and just as a human, so that I can really speak on their behalf and kind of encourage people to show love. Very important for me is the promotion of education. I find that as much as I think people know about HIV over all these years, some people still don't remember that you cannot get it from touch, you cannot get it from hugging someone. And they only think it's from sexual intercourse. They don't remember that you can get it from a blood transfusion, or possibly you could be born to an HIV positive mother. So in educating the populace and in educating the people, they will remember to show love. Myself and other champions have been speaking to a lot of important groups that have large reach, the Scouts, the JPs, and also using our social media platforms as a method to reach out to larger audiences. Each and every one of you out there is a champion, and you should actually be that voice. You should actually stop people from troubling people, teasing people, bullying people, discriminating, and encourage love, compassion, and just again, be a brother, be a sister, be someone who truly cares for others, as HIV is not going to be transmitted to you from a hug or from a touch or from sitting beside a coworker. So let's all be that champion for change, and let's all just show love and empathy in all that we do.
Do your part. Show love, show support, don't discriminate.
Brethren, the road signs make the traffic environment safe. The green light means go. Red means stop. Amber also means stop. Yeah man, it don't mean you must speed up. And get this, even if the light's on green, when the traffic is thick, don't bother move off and block the intersection. And please, don't stop on a pedestrian crossing. Look out for children, the disabled and the elderly. Follow the signs so they all can arrive alive. Be a good road user. Obey the road signs and look out for each other.
The holidays are upon us. Watch this next feature to assist you in making smart shopping choices.
It's important that when you purchase items that you demand your receipts. We're not talking about little tapes that don't reflect name of the entity, the address, as well as a contact number. It must also have the description of the item. So when you go to any store and that is what is being proffered to you as a receipt, we're encouraging you to say, no, I need something written. Can you please write out properly what it is that I've bought, especially those high value items. Can you imagine you actually purchase a motor vehicle and you did not get a receipt? In addition to that, we also encourage you to have a warranty. A warranty for high value items, for services, it's very important. It means that you can go back within a particular period of time and have issues that may arise addressed without possibly additional costs to you. And I say possibly additional costs because, for example, if you purchase a refrigerator, now The warranty may indicate that you have a 10-year warranty on the compressor. However, that does not necessarily mean that you have the warranty on the board that is associated with the compressor. So in instances like this, we also encourage consumers, do your research, have conversations. You have a right to information, you have a right to choose, but you also need to know how to exercise those rights properly. You're going to be going into stores this year, and you're going to be seeing signs that speaks to no refund, no exchange. If you have broken it, you've bought it. My consumers, we have said this time and time again, those signs are exactly what they are, signs. They hold no power. If you go into a store and you see no exchange, no refund, the fact is the Consumer Protection Act states that if you purchase an item and you have encountered an issue, the first step is that you are to call the vendor, advise the vendor as soon as possible as to what has transpired. After you have done that, the step that the vendor needs to take is to try to repair it. If they're unable to repair it, they need to exchange it. If they are unable to exchange it, they need to refund you your money. That's why we call it the 3 R's. So no matter where you see those signs, you as a consumer should know that these are your rights. The sign that speaks about if you've broken it, you've bought it. You do have some stores with narrow aisles. And if you take your child in that store and you are not supervising your child and you allow your child to just run amok, you're at fault. However, if an accident happens, we can understand accidents. So, as I said, you have rights and you also have responsibilities. I will also speak to the issue of buyer's remorse. If you do go into a store, you purchase an item, and if you are still in the store and you've changed your mind, there shouldn't be an issue with handing back that item and getting back your money. You have not left the store. However, if you purchase the item, step out through those doors, and then you decide, hold on, I don't want this anymore. Guess what? That's on you. You made the decision to purchase an item. You would think that, yes, you can just walk back in the store and say, I don't want this anymore. But that's not how it works. So, one, is there something wrong with the item? The fact is, no, you're simply taking it back because you no longer want it. That is called buyer's remorse. So be very careful of that one as well. In instances where food items are purchased and you find that there's spoilage or you had not done your due diligence and you see an expiry date, immediately contact the vendor, make them aware, and try as soon as possible to also take that in.
If you're going to shop online, ensure that you use a familiar website you're used to or that has been established. There are new ones that are popping up all over the places and all that, and people are not familiar with it. There are no history on it. There are no contact information for you to call them, or there's no registration of that website. So you have to be very careful of it. There's also the social media advertisement and transactions that we have seen spring up all over the place. A lot of people are being drawn into it. And we're excited about the product. Oh, I've seen an iPhone that's going for $50,000, boy, and it's an iPhone 11, 12. Be very careful. iPhone don't sell for them kind of money there. We have a situation where companies are offering a product online, and even with the best of intention, when the consumer has gone through the checks and balance and have made payment, only to be told when they receive the product it is missing something, and or when they receive the product that which they ordered is not what they are receiving.
Lending a helping hand shows one's selflessness. Watch now as we get a glimpse of this volunteer's heart.
Always behind the camera, organizing functions and events in her community of Longville Park, Clarendon, aptly supported by a robust team. It's the joy of doing what the heart calls for.
I think my love of volunteerism is innate. My mother was a volunteer, and while I was in her womb, she was volunteering in the National Youth Service in the 1970s. So I grew up in a family of volunteers. My mother, my grandmother, be it Sunday school, be it the community of Sanguinity. I'm from that type of background. And then when I came to Longville Park, I discovered an Active Citizens Association, which was so dynamic.
Eva Tomlinson's love of giving back to others has impact far beyond the many turns and slopes of her community. Her instrumental role in helping to get residents of Longville Park vaccinated against COVID-19, for example, supports the National Infection Prevention and Control agenda. This culture of giving back has been stealthily crafted since her youth.
It's a part of me. I studied in Canada, and their culture is built on volunteerism, and having been exposed to that type of culture of giving back, it means that you're able to make a contribution. It may not be a direct area that you work in professionally, but you have skill sets that you can use and other persons can benefit. The youths, the elderly, neighbors, friends can benefit from giving back and receiving.
In 2022, Ms. Tomlinson received the Badge of Honor for a long and faithful service at the National Honors and Awards ceremony, adding to her collection of awards for stellar contribution to community development. She says it is a humbling achievement.
It's a recognition, not just for myself, but other community volunteers, and also for my ancestors, my mother, my grandmother, who were volunteers in their own rights, that I can be such a recipient.
It unearths the golden thread of society, one that depends upon the harmony of unity and empowerment. It opens the channels of life to impacting the world for better. It is an area in which we need to see more persons involved. Eva's big heart drives her to advocate for more persons to get involved in volunteerism.
Persons can contribute more to being active in their neighborhood watch. Sports day events, youth, the elderly. There are so many areas within this community, and especially since we are transitioning. The original owners are getting older, getting into the retirement age, so there's always space for community volunteerism where persons can give back and make persons' life better.
As Bayard Rustin said, if we desire a society without discrimination, then we must not discriminate against anyone in the process of building this society. This has been Jamaica Magazine. Do join us again tomorrow for another informative show, and be sure to visit our website jis.gov.jm, where you'll find this and much more. On behalf of the entire production team here at the GIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.